Hey YouTube, it's time that I talk about some design for the week. Today I actually don't have the physical representation or the physical prototypes done for what I'm actually going to talk about. And there's another game I'm working on called Mystery of Stonehill. Now, as you can see, I've taken a lot of notes on this. It's actually only for maybe a small portion of the game. There's pages and pages of notes, but I'm at least going to talk to you about the design idea, design space in it. Now, what I'm working on with Mystery at Stonehill is it's a game where the individuals are going to go on a random mystery. Yes, there's other games out like this out there, and yes, I know the random mystery boards have been done, but not like how I'm doing them. There will actually be random tiles you put down based on what factions you have. So many rooms you shuffle into a pile based on who people drew and whatnot for their characters or chose, and a full random scope of the game, as well as if you randomly choose characters or even if you pick yourself, you have the chance of being one of the heroes, which is what everyone probably wants, or which is what everyone should strive for. One of the villains, which will allow you to actually control the villains instead of having the game control the villains. Or multiple players can get the villains, in which it will change into a strategy game. This is something that I really want to achieve, not a randomness on, but do it in such a way where every game was different, every game was unique. Yeah, you might be playing like some high occultists for the Aeons, and you might have four other players playing heroes from all one faction or all one team, or you might have three heroes from three different teams and one hero or one villain who is trying to compete with them. Now the game takes process over 14 turns, pardon me, 14 rounds. Wow, 14 turns would be way too short. 14 rounds. Each round represents one of 7 days, and one of either night or day within those 7 days. So you have a week to solve the mystery or do whatever your team is meant to do. By the end of the week, as long as you hit all your win conditions, like there will be conditions if you do not meet, you will lose. For instance, if you don't extrapolate so much data for PIT, which is the college science or college paranormal science team, if you don't extrapolate enough data, no, you won't win. If you're playing the police, because there's going to be a team that's just the police, if you don't find the killer, you can't win. And if you're playing, say, the mystery kids, if you don't solve how they're doing it, like even if you don't find the killer, you can actually prove how they're doing it so that the police can in the future take them down, you can't win. But each step you do, clues, victims saved, data extrapolate, all that stuff will affect how the game, or will affect your points in the end. And the goal is to get the most points and outwit your opponent, or outwit the monsters. There's 3 enemy factions right now, or pardon me, 4 enemy factions. Well, I forgot one. Sorry, my eyes itching. The first faction is the Aeons, which are more Cthulhic, more Eldritch, these horrible monsters from beyond the ninth realm kind of thing. The second is the Zeat, which are a standard alien race that's going to be throughout the whole games. I think in my Necromorphica episode, I mentioned Bront, who's going to be the driver for the Zeat in Necromorphica. Third is the Menagerie, which is literally going to be these like people who worship nature, as well as mutations and all this stuff. They are nature-based creatures where you have evolution mutations. You'll have the game's version of Freddy, who is basically, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe our Freddy. He's basically like this Native American spirit that is possessing an individual. Not like spirit, like an evil, like Native American nightmare monster theme or themed monster theme that is going to be possessing an individual. And then there's the specters, which will have like vampires and ghosts and stuff, and mad scientists in such a stereotypical way that it's unique. The boards will have tiles, and they're going to be, you know, map tiles with squares in them. Like there'll be a not square, but a card-sized rectangle in them. And what it is you'll have a pile based on the enemy you're using, based on who you have in your team, and all that stuff. You have this pile of random cards, and these are rooms you'll place face down on those squares until you explore. This will make it so even if you have the same map up, your squares are going to be different, and there might be monsters that pop into the game based on those squares. So what this is going to cause is some games will be impossible and some games will be easy, and time's going to be a little hard to guess, but there'll be some controls to make sure that in the end you're able to complete the game somehow, and you can have fun doing it. Now, what kind of design space does this cover? Well, it covers using randomized factors and control situation to where the player themselves do not lose control. Even in character setup, you can get it so it's 2 enemies versus 3 heroes, 1 enemy gets 4, and the 2 enemies fight each other, or even 2 enemies versus 2 enemies, or anywhere in between, and the game will change depending on which, showing a modularness that I really, really strive for. Modular nature of games are actually what my goal in game design is, and honestly, I think it's probably the best way to approach my theory in making a unified. Sorry, my brain is kaput right now. Making a unified and structured compatibility between all the games without making the games the same. The trick with that modularness is making them not feel like mini games, but making them feel like that is what they're supposed to be, and that the different ways are just different ways to tell the story. Because to me, the story of the game is probably one of the most important factors. Well, the game's called Mystery at Stonehill, and there are 2 sequels planned, which are Mystery at Ragnarok City and Mystery at High Point, as well as a possible third expansion that I am thinking of. And when those get up on Kickstarter, I'm actually going to have stretch goals for the expansions. So hopefully you'll get to play that. Hopefully you guys will enjoy it. And more information as we get closer to its release. All right, thank you.